Yes, I can see your slides.
Okay, fantastic. Right, well, welcome everybody. This is Shirley Thompson again. So if you were here last week, you know that we've got this series of coaching skills webinars, and today's topic is relationships. So I hope you all feel that you are on the right call now. How's everyone feeling? Feel free and unmute and, you know, say hi. Or say hi.
Hello, Shirley.
Hello, Shirley.
Good to be here again.
Hi, Shirley. Hi. So great. I feel we've started a conversation now, so that's really good. Okay, so I'm going to press on as time's moving on. So here's our agenda. I'm going to do a welcome and why relationship sort of pitch at the beginning. And today's idea is that conversation needs relationships. So we're going to focus on that underpinning connection that we've got for conversation. There's going to be opportunity for feedback and discussion. So I'm going to take us through a few ideas, but I really would like to have a conversation with you. So we'll invite you to speak up and share your ideas. And my challenge today is that relationship is a two-way dynamic entity. So hopefully by the time we've got through that centre section, we've had a bit of a discussion, we'll decide whether my challenge to you is something you agree with or you disagree with. And then we can have a discussion at the end with your questions as needed. So welcome again. This is the pitch from last time. So this is what we're trying to do with the series, basically challenge coaching culture and become wiser. So this green wrapper, I'm really passionate about indicating to everyone that we all human beings contribute to culture. It's not just something a leader puts, kind of drips down to us. It's something that emerges from a community of people. So hopefully in between this kind of green wrapper where we're trying to challenge and become wiser, we're going to do some prompting of thinking. We're going to encourage awareness, inspire you to share your experiences and future experimentation when you go back to work, hopefully, and support everyone's learning. There's definitely a link to session one, and there will be links throughout to keep this series connected. So last time we said coaching is a conversation. For those of you who weren't here, conversation may not be coaching. So it's important to have a distinction. And then the aim at the end was to say, hey, all conversations have intentions, so let's share those intentions. Today's session is as I've said before, conversation is still there, but today we're recognizing the connection underneath, that thing called relationship. And it is an entity, it does exist, but very few of us spend much time thinking about it. But it has some qualities that perhaps we can try and explore a little today. And I want to get us to, my aim is to get us to this understanding that relationships are two-way commitment, which I'm sure we're all used to in personal relationships, but perhaps we forget about it at work. So I've set out my stall, my intentions. So I'm wondering if you'd like to contribute some ideas about relationship and how you think about it. So my first question is, what guidance do you follow for building relationships? So you, by all means, share in the chat box, but it might be personal expectations of how you build relationships. There might be some kind of organizational expectation, a culture of, you know, having team days or coffee or water cooler moments. Are there some expectations you get from Agile? Or is it just some cultural expectations that you're bringing from your family or your community or the organization, of course? Just your team might have some ways of doing things. So any thoughts? So how do I look at the chat? Is there anything going in the chat? I need to see that. Chat. Yes. So Anna, would you like to say, unmute and say a little bit more about what you mean? Oh, here we go. Okay, personal and organisational expectations. Okay, so that's good. So I think it's good that we have our own expectations of how we build relationships. Don't know why I've gone to. I think it's good that we have our own personal ones, so we're ways of doing things. I'm sure that's very true. So Isaac, tell me about Agile. If you can unmute.
So it's just, for me, it's what do people know about Agile? Because the word Agile is almost like a buzzword that goes around a lot. So just try and gain people's understanding and yeah, see if there's anywhere that I can give input or anywhere I can learn from them as well. As
Okay.
Coaching is partnership.
Okay, so what do you think Agile culture tells you about how to build relationships? That's what I really meant.
Oh, okay. It's just more being collaborative, really, working together and being open to take feedbacks and you know, yeah, just basically, yeah, that's it. That's what I mean. Okay,
so you feel you've got some kind of explanation from the Agile world about how to build a relationship. You feel you've got guidance from that world.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good then. So we'll be helping to drag that out into the conversation today, hopefully. So get some ideas. What is Agile actually saying? What is the organisation actually saying about building relationships? And what are you as an individual thinking is the way to do it? So that's that's great. So we've got some ideas onto the table. So I'm going to do a little bit of talking now to relate a little bit of recap on last time. So for coaching, we said that was partnering, very much agreeing things. So whether it's the agenda, we agree the partnership and we agree this relationship that goes underneath. But for conversation, we said we were just really sharing thoughts and ideas, and it wasn't obvious what the relationship was. What does relationship mean if you're just there chatting about stuff? So I looked online for our session today. What is relationship? Because, you know, I don't profess to be in the past very good at relationships. I won't tell you all my personal details, but you know, I could certainly look back on my time in software development and didn't really think about relationships that much at all. So I think it is a set of expectations, and quite often it's a set of assumptions, but I did find two references in just Googling. So one was output focused kind of definition. So people thinking, well, what can we achieve together? So there were 4 different types. So that went from targeted to trusted, and really this represented a measure of the trust. So, you know, if I'm saying relationship's an entity, then trust is a quality of that entity. So a targeted relationship is one where you might go and join a group, an online group, because actually it's a good community, they know stuff, and it might be interesting to go and find out what that's about. Tentative is just a little bit more, you know, you're looking to get to exchange value from each other, and transactional is when you actually get that relationship where you're actually exchanging things. The other way of looking at relationships is, if I can move it on, so there is a reference for that. The other way of looking at it is just looking at the roles, how we work together. But this is kind of where the assumptions start to come in, I think, because this reference lists 7 types and just talks about co-workers and team members, managers and reports, mentor-mentee. So there are expectations about that, but everybody's got their own explanation. And again, there is a reference for that. But I would say these are all very vague, still quite hard to pin down what a relationship actually means. So let's see from you, how would you describe relationship? What is it? Can you write something in the chat box about that? So if you were to consider one or two different work relationships, maybe you can see what's different about working together in different relationships. Would anyone say there's a difference? So again, I'll watch the chat. I'll just leave you to think for a couple of minutes. So, okay, thank you for the observation about the difference in organisational and personal relationships. But if we just stick to work relationships, I bet there's a difference between a relationship we have with one person and a relationship you have with a different person. So, or maybe there's a certain type of relationship you have with a team member, but a different type of relationship that you have with a sponsor. So, okay, I'm getting the finding common ground is important. Great. So is anyone finding that is difficult with some people? There was a nice bit in the chat about having a relaxing time and with the team. So kind of taking social moments. So that's a way of getting to know one another, but not everyone contributes to that, do they? So some people hang back and are less social than others. So would anyone like to unmute their microphone and talk a little bit about a difference that they're observing, or how to make it the same? So, you know, maybe you're trying to make all the team members' relationships the same. How do you move that? How do you make that happen? Is someone?
Hi, Angela here. I think it's not very easy, but one of the key things is understanding perhaps the characteristics of certain people within the team. So some might be introvert, some might be extrovert, and once you understand like some types of characteristics, then you can try and address them. So if an introvert is finding it hard to share what they believe or just even contribute to conversation, it's just giving them a bit of space or probing questions, try to build that in order to build that rapport with them. And with extroverts, try and find a different way of speaking to them as well, to engage them and to keep them interested, if that makes sense.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, yeah, that's just the sort of thing that I was looking to hear, because actually you have to work at relationship, so it isn't something that you can just take for granted, is it? So that's brilliant. Thank you very much, Angela. So I'm gonna move on for that idea. So we have to work at relationships, and my next idea is to point out that relationship is a dynamic entity. So I'm going to stick with this idea of connection. I know there's something in relationship because I can feel it. All right, I can't explain it very well, but I can certainly feel it, and it's certainly got depth. You know, a quality of depth. So I know when I've got a deeper connection with one person or another person, and I think that's based on history. So there's something I feel now, but based on all the history of us meeting in the past, my relationship with someone is changing, but I can remember. So it's got a history, and I'm coming into any moment with that history in mind. And that's quite important for the potential for collaboration, because this is where the trust comes in, and you know, what I'm able to do with someone in the future is based on how I feel about them right now, and how I felt with them in the past. And over time, of course, good things can happen and bad things can happen. So relationship isn't static, it actually changes. So if someone upsets me, you know, I might not be as friendly for the next day or something, or I might not do something with them that I might otherwise might not, you know, go for coffee with them. I might not do that today. And who knows what the ramifications of that are. So good relationships, of course, always are up and down, and it's quite normal. But it does take work to keep them balanced. So it's important to try and tap into the qualities of connection, and through coaching, I've certainly learned about rapport and the importance of respect and trust. And I think when I was working in software development, I just assumed an awful lot of things based on the tasks I had to do. I was a very task-driven sort of person. Didn't think too much about connection at all. And I could give myself an excuse because I was a female working in a very much a man's world in the 70s, 80s, 90s. You know, there's a bit of a history there that you didn't think about connection too much. You just focused on the work. I think today, everything is much more focused on relationships. And so I'm really interested in what you guys think about these three things. For me, rapport is about now. So it's about two-way attention between two people now. And we can all take action to give people attention. Respect, again, this is something that we're learning through our current social world. You know, we respect diversity now. We're a globalized community. We know that respect for each other is really, really important. But again, you know, there's a two-way aspect to that, and there's a history. So we have to be conscious of being respectful always. And when that trust is about the two-way again, and it's, as I said, it's about future, but really we need to keep working together well in order to maintain that level of trust that we need for collaboration. So all these things are things that we need to work on and commit to, so think about. So all I'm trying to do today is raise awareness of what we all personally think is important about these three things, and maybe other things that you might have in mind as well. But these three things are commonly talked about in the coaching world. And so that's why I've highlighted them today. So let me just ask you then, what's the quality of your work relationships? Would you say, again, write in the chat box. And think about rapport, respect and trust. You know, if you look at different work relationships, what's the level of those and how is it different between different relationships, and what do you think improves those qualities? So again, I'll give you a few minutes to think and write in the chat box. So I'm particularly interested in how you can understand each other better and how you go about that, because I suspect, you know, even in social situations, we have to show quite a bit of respect. We have to be friendly. We have to give people attention and listen to them. So we're trying to build rapport all the time. So perhaps someone could unmute, and I'm getting I can't see anything in the chat. So is this obvious to everyone? Perhaps you could just comment on how obvious you think this is and how natural it is to you.
Okay, this is Karthik here. Hello.
Sorry, who's speaking?
Hi, this is Karthik here.
Oh, hello. I still didn't catch your name. Sorry.
Okay, I'm Karthik. So
okay.
I would like to add a few points here. What could improve the rapport, respect, and trust within the team?
Yeah.
I would personally feel having a personal connection or knowing each other personally would definitely, and finding a common interest, right? This will definitely build a rapport, build and better working relationship within the team.
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, that's brilliant. So thinking about common interests, common goals, is vital, isn't it, to build that rapport. So that's something we have to think about every time we enter into a conversation, be conscious of, because, you know, if we can enter into a conversation, we can start a conversation, I think, because we're interested in it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the other person's interested. So to engage others, we have to find something that is of common interest, of shared interest, otherwise they're not going to be engaged, or the danger is that the connection, the rapport is not going to be well enough there. So yeah, that's great. Okay, which leads me to my challenge today, to actually think about relationships a little bit more, and to think about this two-way aspect of relationship. So I can have I'm referring to my model here that I always fall back to. So I can have intentions for what I want for a relationship, but that doesn't mean that other people's intentions are the same. So what do I have to do to get them to share intentions for how we're going to work together? So I'm really just highlighting that what might be subconscious today that we do naturally and not think about too much, because we're just naturally friendly. We assume that the friendliness and the respect is actually going to work, but maybe when we enter into a conversation, someone's busy there with something, so their mind's on something else. So they're not necessarily going to come straight in to connect with the conversation that I want to have. So somehow, for me as a human being, I have to get that out of I have to be more aware of relationship. So instead of taking things for granted in my subconscious and habit, I need to be more conscious that I have to make an effort to engage people, to listen and give them a reason to listen, so that we can actually share in the purpose of the conversation. So it's all about airing these things. Great to have a comment to say this has given me food for thought. Fantastic. So overall, let me ask you a question. Do you agree that relationship is a two-way dynamic entity? So, you know, what insights have you got about building relationships, and what might the barriers be?
Hi, Shirley.
Hi.
This is Abby. Yeah, I do agree that it's a dynamic entity and it's a two-way thing. But I've experienced a situation at work where the person I'm supposed to be working with as a team actually isn't a team player, because the person's got our own agenda, like, always want to be seen as, like she's the one doing everything. So yeah, she tends not to be like, carrying me along, and then she tends to go like, just not carrying me along. And when I ask questions and she's being dodgy about, oh no, don't worry about it, blah blah blah. And yeah, I don't know, how do you deal with that kind of when it's not, you want to be straightforward and you want to carry them along, and but then they are not doing the same with you.
Yeah, well, I agree, relationships are tricky, and this is normal conflict. We don't all get on with everybody, but somehow when we're working together and we're in a team, we have to find a way of working. So as someone said before, it is about finding the common ground. What is it that you can actually agree on and base a relationship on? Because what you're really saying is, if two people are completely different, at different ways, different expectations, they aren't ever going to come together. So, how do you build rapport? Well, it is about finding something that you have in common that you can agree on. So, agreeing to smile to one another is a start. That's how normal business networking starts. You smile at somebody and then they will hopefully smile back. That is rapport. That is engagement at this kind of basic level. After that, it's social chat. So, you know, listening and questioning enables you to have a social conversation and a social connection. So you might, even then, you need to find things of common interest, whether it's a film or, you know, where you're from or whatever, something in your background. So I think, you know, what I'm trying to highlight here is relationship doesn't happen by magic. It is something to work at, and you have to be motivated to build a relationship in the first place. So I think what you're airing is fantastic, Hedy, and it's definitely worth thinking about. But, you know, the idea of a two-way dynamic entity is that two people can have a conversation about the relationship, and if it's not working, then can they actually talk to one another about that? Do they need to get a third person to facilitate the conversation? Maybe. You know, this is, you know, we've only got half an hour today, so I can't answer in detail, but I am using this example to show that, you know, you have to work at relationships.
Yeah,
So does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Thank you.
Okay. Any comments from anyone else? Am I too idealistic?
No, it's really good, Shirley. I thought I was a natural, and I thought it's something that should happen naturally, but I've not thought about the fact that you can actually make an effort to build it, and you know, so this is really good. Thanks.
Okay, great. Well,
very useful.
This is my hope for the series, that we can actually do a challenge in each session, because none of this stuff is easy, right? So we all as humans take it for granted, and I you know, I stand before you as someone who was terrible in the past at relationships. So I'm just highlighting my learning, if you like, over a long period of time. Of not actually taking any notice of relationships. So it's really just getting into coaching that has highlighted the importance of it. And I wish now that I really understood it from way back, but there's something in my background, you know, that said relationship wasn't important. So it was just the work that was important. And I can see now that's so wrong in our current services oriented environment. You know, it's a hugely different world that we live in now compared to when I was working, so in software development. So any other comments or questions? All right, anything else? Well, I better close it there. As I say, I'm happy to take any questions anytime, so, you know, do email me if think of anything that I can help to contribute to this series. That would be great.
Thanks, Shirley.
Thank you. I'm not sure I'm not sure how to stop the meeting, but I'm sure it'll be obvious once. I'll just wait till everyone goes and then see if I've got the power.
Thanks, Shirley. Have a good evening or rest of the day.
Take care. Bye.
You
Bye.
too. Take care, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.